This is an encore presentation of the God and Gigs Show. Ladies and gentlemen, I cannot tell you how excited I am. Now, I know I have been doing this podcast thing for a while, but every once in a while, people just walk into my life and it's like you were meant to be in the God and Gigs community. And this young lady is absolutely the epitome of that. I have already said everything about her. I can say in the bio, her bio could read a country mile, as they might say. But now you get to talk to her directly. So, Teea Goans, welcome to the God and Gig Show. How are you?
Thank you. I am so good, and I'm so glad to see you again.
So should we do just the catching up on in front of everybody? Like instead, let them be a fly on the wall, and we're just gonna have a conversation,
Yes.
and forget the fact that millions of people are listening.
Right?
So let's talk about this free trip to Florida that you took, and that how you freeloaded yourself into. No, just kidding.
When I see an opportunity, I'm going to take it, okay? So my friend and I, she was going on a work trip to Miami, and she called me the night before and said, "Hey, I really don't want to go by myself. Do you want to go? The company will pay for it." And I'm like, yeah. So we jump in the plane the next day. We go to Miami. We had dinner that night. We were just walking, and we heard you playing. And as a musician, and she is in music, her husband's a musician. So we're like, what is that? Like, we need to go find this. So we sought you out. We walked in the lobby, and we were just sitting there mesmerized because you are so talented. And I mean, and you were doing things like you were playing these. I was just like, oh my gosh, you had these arrangements of stuff that we were like, what's going on? So yeah, and that struck up a conversation. And now that we're here today talking, I know exactly why we met up. I know who was in charge of that meetup because I
Amen.
wasn't really supposed to be there. And it was really cool.
Wow. Well, this is again a sign how God really just orchestrates everything in our lives. Your story is a number one. So let's know more about me. Let's talk about you. First of all, I know people might be meeting you for the first time. So I know you go through this a lot, but you have to get them the 30-second elevator pitch where you tell everything about you in 30 seconds. But just what do you want people to know about you when they first meet you? Just what's that kind of thing that you just say, hey, this is who I am. If you didn't know anything else, here are the things that are important to know.
If you didn't know anything else, I've been singing for my entire life, performing my entire life. And when the pandemic hit, I met you in 2021.
Right.
So I was mid shift of my entire life. When the pandemic hit, my life completely changed. And I got into songwriting, which was something that I had never done before. I had just always been a performer and a singer doing other people's music. And when that shift happened, God spoke to me and said, it's time to write. And I was right in the middle of that when I met you, of just figuring out what that meant and how to do that and what that looked like. And that's where I am right now. My life feels like like I got a complete reboot in 2020. And it's been the most fulfilling 3 years so far of my life.
Oh, gosh, that's so magical. Okay, so now you said reboot. So now we have to go back to the boot.
Right.
So how did you first get into, I mean, I know everyone likes to do, oh, okay, yeah, I was 5 years old and I was discovered or something like that. Like we all love that kind of story, which you've heard a million of them. But I do think it's important that people hear like what's the first chapter. Was it something coming out of school? Was it something that you dreamed of in terms of the Nashville career? I mean, I have friends that have gone to Nashville, but I still don't know what it's like to pursue the dream. So kind of walk us through a little bit of the first half. Like where did it start for you in terms of actually building a career?
So I grew up in Missouri, the middle of nowhere, town of about 600 people. So, it was the country. This is really where I grew up. And I started singing from a very young age. Just my mom tells me when I was 2 years old, I would be just humming, making up tunes and singing. And, I liked to sing. My grandmother had been a performer in the 60s and 70s around the Kansas City area. She sang country music and loved country music, and she had 7 kids. So obviously moving to Nashville was not really an option for her. So she had just kind of stayed around there and played clubs and whatnot. So I think that's kind of where the music came from. I think it was kind of genetically given to me through my grandma. And so I started singing in church when I was 3, did my first solo. And then I started doing little talent shows and little fairs and things around, and singing in little things. And when I was 8 years old, I performed at a country music show, which Missouri is notorious for having country music shows. Basically, what it was a 600-seat theater. They had a live band there, and they did a talent show once a year. And so I was in the talent show when I was 8. I did not win that talent show because it was kids and adults and everybody was in it. But the following spring, they called me and said, "We would like you to be a full-time part of our band and come and be a performer on the show." And you would come and, sing a couple of songs a night or 2, 3 or 4 songs and kind of be the kid act, in the middle of the
Yeah,
show that comes out, does the thing. So I had my first paying gig when I was 8 years old.
it's
A
crazy.
and it was crazy, and I did that until I was 19. I did that until college. So I had the most perfect training ground that you could ask for. I was working with a live band, had a live audience, learned the whole stage thing, that some people, when they moved to Nashville, they've never even been on stage. They've just been singing in their bedroom with their guitar. You know what I mean? So I felt like I kind of had a leg up in that aspect of I was able to go and, whatever. So when I got out of college, well, I knew from the time I was 8 years old, the goal became I want to move to Nashville and sing at the Grand Old Opry. That became my goal, was that I'm moving to Nashville. I want to sing on the Opry. I mean, I was like writing reports in school about the Opry and country music and
What,
stuff. Like I was like obsessed.
what do you want to be when you grow up was never a question for you that you
Never a
had
question.
to.
Ever, ever. I mean, my mom has pictures that I drew like on career day of me on the Opry stage. That was my picture I drew, was I'm gonna sing on the Grand Ole Opry. That's it. That's the goal. And so I got through college and moved to Nashville and didn't know one soul here, didn't know anybody here, had no connections, anything, and just had to kind of figure it out on my own. And that was really hard. That was very difficult. I went 2 or 3 years where I was just sort of trying to stick my nose in anywhere I could and hear, who's who and what's going, it's just learning the industry wherever you are, learning, kind of starting to network.
Yeah, the hard
And
knocks.
yeah, that's hard. And I ended up getting a job at a radio station, which just happens to be WSM, which is the radio home of the Grand Ole Opry.
Okay, that's
And
plot thickens.
the plot thickens. And the way that happened randomly was I was a fan of the station, obviously, and they were doing a remote somewhere. And I went up and just talked to one of the DJs and was like, "I love you guys. You're so great." And there was a girl that worked in their promotions department that was there. And she said, "Well, we need promotions people if you ever want to work here." So I took the glamorous job, and you know this if you know anything about radio, of working in the promotions department. Basically, that means you stand out at events in the rain, in the sun, in the heat, and you pass out bumper stickers and koozies, and you know what I mean? So super glamorous radio life. And I was like, I'll do it. I'll do it for free. I don't care. Like I want to work there. I want to know more about it. So I ended up doing that for 5 years. And just through that time, I kind of got a different side of the music industry that I didn't know a lot about. I learned kind of a little bit about the radio side of things, which was nice to kind of
Oh yeah.
understand that. And strangely enough, about 3 years into that, I ended up they said, "We would like to teach you some production work, some production stuff." And I said, "Okay, I don't know anything about that, but cool." I ended up producing the Grand Ole Opry warm-up show, which is a 1-hour show.
Okay, no, those who are listening, I'm just like trying not to show my. I should have seen this coming.
I wish I could have seen it coming, because my theory has always been that God opens doors that I would have never knocked on.
Ah,
That is my motto. Because if you would have told me, "Oh, you're going to be in radio production, and not only that, you're going to produce the 1-hour show that leads into the Grand Ole Opry." So that means I was backstage at the Grand Ole Opry every Saturday night. I was also the person that rounded up the talent for the interviewer, for the DJ to do the interviews with. So I had to go door to door and get, the people to come on and do, so I was having to interact with these artists that I was huge fans of.
you were the
And
stage run, essentially the stage runner. Like everything went. Nothing happened
yes,
on that stage that you didn't know about.
exactly. I was the talent runner for the warm up show, which was
Oh,
just unbelievable. Again, somebody who has no idea what they're doing, thrown right into dream.
As God normally does. God never, yes.
Exactly. So about a year later, they said, you know what? We need to do a show that runs in between because there are 2 shows on Saturday nights. There's a 7 o'clock and a 9 o'clock show. And there's a 30-minute break in between where they, swap the house out. And they said, we thought it would be cool if you hosted that show. I don't host shows. What are you talking about? That's not what I didn't go to broadcast school. What? And they said, well, we just think it would be cool to have like a fan's perspective because you're such a fan. And I'm like, what? Okay. So the first night that I hosted a show on WSM, this is the Air Castle of the South, as they are known. Okay. This is like everywhere and it's online and the whole thing, was the night that Carrie Underwood was inducted into the Opry. Okay. Now I couldn't score an interview with her. So I had to settle my interviews that night were Vince Gill and Garth Brooks.
Oh, woe is me. I don't get to interview. I just have to do these other small little one-time artists. Unbelievable. That's amazing.
Still don't even know how that happened. And I would hate to go back and listen to those interviews because I'm sure I was just like, you know,
and I'm sure they were so gracious, like little, like we know,
I remember somebody. I had a friend.
We get this a lot.
Pictures. Thank God. So I'm like, I do have proof because I tell people that and they're like, oh, right. And I'm like, no, really, it happened. Like I have a picture. It really did happen. But that was just unbelievable to me. And the struggle that I had during this time that I worked at the station and was at the Opry every Saturday night was I didn't feel right about telling people that I was a singer. I didn't want anybody to believe that I was using this job
to
get anywhere else because I really wasn't. I had fallen into these opportunities and I thought, boy, I don't want anybody to think that I'm trying to weasel my way in, whatever. So I didn't tell anybody that I sang. So these people just knew me as the girl on the radio show. Like that was, you know what I mean? So I knew all these artists, but they didn't have any idea that I was also an artist trying to figure it out on the, backside of things. So in 2010, I had went to a club here in Nashville, the Station Inn. There's a band that plays there called the Time Jumpers. Highly recommend. They do Western swing music. They're fabulous. Anyway, I went to hear them play and I knew the drummer and he got me up to sit in and sing a couple of songs with them. And I did, just some standards and I got finished. And after the show, this gentleman approached me and he said, I manage the Time Jumpers and we need to make a record. And I was like, and you are? Like, okay, where do I sign? Anyway, so his name was Terry Choate. He was a fantastic guy. And we ended up making 4 albums together.
Wow.
He had his own little independent label. And that led to, I got to do a lot of TV things. I got to travel. I got to tour Norway and Sweden and do some shows over there. I did a lot of television shows. There was it's called Country's Family Reunion and Larry's Country Diner. I was a part of both of those shows. I did numerous shows. It was on a cable network called RFD TV. And that really opened me up to, a ton of exposure and a lot of people getting to see and hear what I did. And I did a lot of cover songs. That was what I did. We would reimagine arrangements of songs that and kind of do that. So that was another reason why I heard some of the things I was hearing you do that night, and I was like, "Listen to these."
I know this world where we
So it was cool. And so
I love it.
Yeah, so the records that we made were a lot of songs that people already knew, and so that was kind of what I was known as, was this country cover artist, and I did pretty hardcore traditional country sounding stuff, that was kind of the deal. And so I did that. The last record that Terry and I made together was in 2017. And this is where the story starts to make a turn. If you have another question, but I can make it.
No. I'm enjoying what I love about this is because, and that, don't worry, you're doing great. And one of the reasons why I love the story of it is because every single artist that's listening knows this feeling. Like, I don't need to ask anyone else in this audience to tell you what it feels like when you're the person that doesn't want to speak up about your talent
Right?
because of the fear. I mean, I could ask, I mean, just in terms, but you kind of already expressed it, where you don't want people to see you in a certain light as being opportunistic. Meanwhile, let's just bring this part into it. God was orchestrating things behind the scenes because
Mhm.
you weren't going to get all the credit for showing up at the Grand Old Opry, for showing up in front of Garth Brooks. And like, you couldn't say
Right.
that you had this master plan to figure it out.
Yes.
Meanwhile, again, later on, we'll talk about why people think they need to have a master plan and why they have to figure it all out. So
Right.
we'll get to that part. Don't worry.
Yes. So in and I had left my job at the Opry at the WSM when I started making records. I'd done that. And a lot of those artists at that point when I was running into them at these television shows and things like that, they were like, "Wait, but we know you at the Opry. Like, what do you do?" And I'm like, "Hey, I do this too." So that was actually really cool to already know them, but then for them to see me in a totally different light. You know what I mean? Like
Absolutely.
that was a cool experience. So that was awesome. And in 2010, I did make my debut on the Grand Ole Opry. I played at the Ryman Auditorium, and I have since played there, I think 11 or 12 times, which
Wow.
is crazy.
So I got to ask right there,
Crazy.
was that at that point, I mean, you drew this at 8 years old.
Mhm.
So just take me through, was it everything that you imagined it would be? Everything leading up to this moment, all that you had gone through to this point. And obviously I know there's other mountaintop moments where God has shifted even what you
Yes.
wanted in terms of the goal. But at that point, did it, because some people get to this point and then they realize, oh my gosh, this isn't as glamorous. This isn't as amazing. So what was
Oh,
it like for you?
at this moment, I'll tell you the story of the invitation that I got to play the Opry the first time. We were going to have a snow day here in Nashville, and if you know anything about Nashville, a snow day is like half an inch, and the town shuts down.
Yeah.
They don't know anything about the snow here. I'm from Missouri, so I'm like, dude, put the chains on. We're good. Like it's fine. It's no big deal. So we, my husband had come home from work early. We were in for the day. The snow was coming. It had just kind of started to snow. Everything was, shut down. I'm in my PJs. We're gonna have pizza and just watch movies and no big deal. I get a call from a number I don't recognize. And what do we do when we do that? We let her
Oh
roll
yeah.
the voicemail. Bye. Okay, don't know who that is. They leave a voicemail, I check it, and it says, "Hi, Tia, this is Steve Gibson, the music director at the Opry. And we had some people who couldn't make it in tonight because of the weather, and we were wondering if you could come in and play the Opry tonight." That's the call I get. It's 3:30 in the afternoon. The show is at 7. The rehearsal is at 5:30. Let me show you about God's sovereignty here, okay? God knew that if he had given me any more time to think about that, I would have been a nervous wreck. But I didn't have time to think about anything. I had to get ready, take a shower, grab my clothes, grab whatever I was going, and go. I didn't have time to get nervous. And I look back on that now and I'm like, I'm so glad that happened the way that it did. We
Yeah.
jump in the truck, we head downtown. Of course, the town is just quiet because, the snow and whatever. We get down there. I have rehearsal with the band, and I know a lot of the band members, which was just amazing because I'm like, what's up, guys? Like,
Hey, guess who's back?
like I'm hanging out with the crew. Like I love the stage crew there, like because they knew me because I was always back there running around with them. So I'm like, what's going on? So anyway, so we do that, and the show starts, and they introduce me, and I walked out on that stage, and it was literally like walking into a dream that you have had. You know what I mean? It really was. I did have that experience of you're here. This is what you've been thinking about. This is what you've been dreaming of. Here it is. You're here. And I can remember exactly what the gallery looked like, and, and it was pretty full for the weather we were having because we have so many tourists, they show
Yeah.
up.
Yeah.
So I was like, "This is amazing," and so I do my songs, they came off well, I have video proof that, like, I didn't just get up there and botch the whole thing, it was good, and when I walked off the stage, I remember Ricky Skaggs and the Whites and Gene Shepherd, and they were standing on the side, and they all just, like, hugged me, and I don't remember anything past that. I really don't. But I do remember walking off the stage and them all being there like, "Oh, you did it. Like you did that," and it was just it was amazing. Yes, that moment was exactly what I had hoped that it would be.
Gosh, I
The
loved
first
so much of this began because, and I loved it as a second chapter because there's so much of what we look for as artists and creatives and people who, faith, right? We say, faith,
Yes.
faith, we
Yes.
want to see by faith,
Yes.
walk by faith, not by sight. But then
Yes.
we see, and here's the part where I'm going to pivot. And I know you pivoted too.
Mhm.
We
Mhm.
see the success. We
Mhm.
see you made it to your dream. We see that all that happened. But that's not all there is to you. Like if you say,
Yes.
oh, you made it to your dream and now we plateau. And
Yeah.
now we just say, okay, God, thanks. There's
We're
so
good.
much
Bye.
more. Right. We're good. Tell me a little bit about this shift because obviously we all had a big shift in 2020. We all had
Mhm.
one.
Yeah.
But I guess, was there anything that was missing? Was there anything as you're doing the getting more recognized, right? Now you're doing the thing. But
Mhm.
was there any indication that, hey, maybe there's something else that I'm supposed to be doing? Or was it just like, hey, meet my dream, let's just keep it going?
Well, like I said, this all kinda kicked off in 2010, and we made these 4 records all the way up through 2017. I mean, it was just do, 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 we were doing the
It was
thing.
working.
I was
Yeah.
there just working, doing it, loving it, everything else. And we made the last record in 2017, and I got a here we go. I'm gonna tell you about how Jesus comes in here. So, I get a message on Facebook from a person that I've never met. His name was Jim Moose Brown. Okay, and if you saw, he's like 8 feet tall, that's why he's called Moose. But seriously. But anyway, I didn't know him, but I knew his name. He is a Grammy award-winning songwriter. He's part of the, Bob Seger Silver Bullet Band.
Wow.
He's kind of a big deal.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and he messages me on Facebook, and he just said, "I just saw a video of you. Who are you? Why do I not know who you are? Like, what are you doing? What's going on?" And I was like, "What?" So I called him and we talked for a little while and he said, "Well, I would love to write with you sometime." And I said, "Well, I don't write." I said, "I typically just do other people's music." I said, "I've tried writing, but it's not really my thing." And I said, "So I don't do that." And I said, "And I'm working with a producer now, and we've kind of got this thing going and whatever." And he said, "Well, that's cool." He said, "Well, I'm a fan and I'm going to follow you. And I just think that's cool." And I was like, "Well, thanks, man. It's great to know you. That's awesome." Okay. So from 2017 to 2020, I was kind of, I was on the hamster wheel. I was doing the thing. And I think you sometimes can get so doing the thing that you realize, what is the thing I'm doing?
Yeah. What is it for? Yeah.
Wait, what's going on? Like nothing was really happening, and I was just kind of just keep it on because it was what I'd always done, and I was like, "Man, this is." And I started to feel like this isn't I don't feel right. I don't feel like maybe I should just quit. Maybe I should just start doing something totally different. Like maybe I should just maybe I've you've like you said, I've reached the goal. Let's go be a, door greeter at Walmart. Like whatever, you know what I mean? But I was
I mean,
like, but you know what I'm saying? Like, and I think
absolutely.
we've all
Absolutely.
gotten to that point where we go, well, is this all there is? Because okay, cool, And I was there, and I think what 2020 did for a lot of us when the pandemic hit is it made us all sit back and we had to reassess where we were.
I had no choice.
We didn't have a choice because we didn't have anything else to do. Like,
No, all of it
we're
like,
just like
okay, then we can
we're out.
we're going to stare at Netflix. We're going to do our little live streams, and we're going to say, "What am I doing with my life?" Like, because
Exactly.
and so many of us, including me,
Mhm.
realize, and I know this is probably what I'm not. I'm guessing what you're going to say. I may be totally wrong, but you don't know what you're capable of until you're put into that crucible. You do not know what God is like. I have skills. What I'm doing right now, literally us talking, is because, and I had started the podcast before the pandemic.
Mhm.
Nowhere close to what I'm doing now. Like
Yeah.
all those skills, everything was developed in, oh my gosh, there's no choice now. I have to make this work. I have to figure out what's inside me that I haven't been using. And so it
Yes.
sounds like that's where, God was like, uh-huh. That's why for 10 years you were using just one piece. of the grace that I gave you, but there was a whole nother section that you hadn't even utilized yet.
Yes, yes. And so when all that happened, in July of 2020, the gentleman, Terry Choate, who had been my producer and my manager for all those years, he became very ill during, it wasn't COVID. He had had diabetic issues
Mm.
throughout. He got ill. He had to move back home to North Carolina. And so not only was I not working and not that, then the one thing that the person that I had kind of relied on
Yeah.
to man the ship
Yeah.
was out of the picture. So I was literally just out there floating, just out there. And I thought, okay, maybe I am gonna go to Walmart and be a checker. Like, maybe that is what's about to happen.
It's so funny that Walmart is like, I keep saying like, it's like, she really must love Walmart. Like,
I used to work at Walmart, okay? I
there
worked
you
at
go.
Walmart
You know,
school, okay? I know how to do the Walmart.
we'll get some sponsorships out of this. Okay, keep
Yeah,
going.
right. So it was July of 2020. I was driving in my car. I know exactly where I was. It was a road not far from where I live. And I was just driving and I heard God say to me, "It's time to write." And my initial reaction was, "You have the wrong person. I'm sorry. I don't do that. You know I don't do that. You
Wrong
know
number. Wrong number, God.
yeah, you know I've done that. You know I didn't like that. You know that wasn't my thing." "What? Are you serious?" "No, I'm not doing that." And if you've ever told God no about something, you know how persistent he can get, right?
Oh, oh
And drive
yes.
you completely insane about it. Okay. So I let it go. I was like, it's fine. Whatever. No, I'm not even going to think about that. And of course, you can't stop thinking about that. And I had a few things that I thought of and I kind of jotted some stuff down. I thought, nah, that's dumb. That's not even, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing it. I'm just not doing it. So a friend of mine released a record in the middle of 2020, bless his heart. His name's Mo Pitney. He's a great artist. And when he came out that day, I was listening to it. I thought I'm gonna go for a walk and just listen to his record top to bottom. Just I want to hear the whole thing, and got finished. And I thought, man, that is so good. And like it really captured him. And he's a songwriter. And I thought, man, that's just so good. So I messaged him and said, hey, it was great, whatever. And I looked up who had produced the record, and it was Jim Moose Brown from 2017.
Yep. Full circle.
And so I messaged him on Facebook, said, man, I just listened to that record you did on Mo. It was so good. Awesome. You really captured who he is. And he messages me right back and said, thank you so much. I appreciate that. And if you ever want to do anything together, even if it's just right, let me know.
Dropped it.
Okay.
Yep. Drops in your lap again, and God is not letting go.
No. And I was like, okay. So I messaged him back and said, listen, I haven't written in thousands of years and I tried it and I didn't like it. And he said, I haven't written in 3 years. He said, I've basically retired. I don't even really, he said, I don't like the music that's coming out of Nashville and I didn't feel like what I do fit there anymore. He said, so I've just kind of given up too. He said, so we'd both be rusty if we tried to write. I was like, okay, fine. So we meet up. It was the 20th of August, 3 days before my 40th birthday. Okay. So when you're going to start over, why not start over then?
That's
Okay.
great. Exactly.
So I was like, all right. I'm like, hey, Moses wandered for 40 years. Maybe I've been wandering too. Like, okay, let's go. So,
That's good company. Hey, Moses,
like, okay.
Moses, Joshua, Israel. It turned out pretty well for them.
I think they were okay. So I thought, okay. So we got together, met. I mean, this was the first time we'd met in person. And we talked for about an hour, just kind of got to know each other, where we were from, whatever, And he looked at me and he goes, what do you want to write? And I go, uh, well, I've been locked in the house with my husband for the last 8 months. And I've come to the realization that I really like him a lot. And I said, and he makes life easy. As wild as everything has been, as long as he's there, it's fine. And we started and finished the song that's on this album, Easy, that day. I mean, and you talk about something just falling out of me. And there are particular lines in that song that I know didn't come from me. Like I felt them come in and come out and I was like, oh, that was good. Okay. Like that's how okay. Right? Yeah. And so I was like, okay. And so we get done, and Moose and I were both just like looking at each other like, did that just like, what did we just wrote us like, okay. So we continued to get together every couple of weeks, and we ended up writing, we would start and finish a song every time we got together,
Oh,
which
wow.
you know this. That's not
Yes, I know
okay.
100%. I'm usually the one in the room that is scared that I'm the reason why nothing's happening.
Me too. Always. That's oh yeah. And there were days, and he's such an incredible musician, which that's something that I was not. I've been a drummer. I was a drummer all through high school. That's what I did. So I don't have an instrument per se that I play. That's coming later. Anyway, so so anyway,
Oh, this
he's got all this great, these great melodies and things, and I'm like, we're writing it, and it was just it was magical. And we made a few demos of some of the songs, and he was like, "What are we doing? What are you gonna do with this?" And I was
yeah,
like,
yeah.
"I don't really know." And he goes, "I mean, we've got a record worth of stuff." And I was like, "Yeah, we kinda do." And as we were writing so many of these songs, this had become my therapy. I had no
Mm,
idea that was what I needed. That was why I was writing. That was why God said, "You need to write." At that time, it was for me. Because I didn't realize how locked up in things that I had become and how much of a slave to just being an artist, if that makes sense, like
oh,
the
100%.
grind of it and and not only that, but I had been under this management for so long, and I had kind of let the control completely go to someone else, and I didn't realize how out of control I was,
Yeah.
if that makes sense.
How little of a voice. I just have to say this because only because it's fresh in my mind. I know
Mhm.
podcasts are totally different and it's not back to back.
Mm,
But I literally just had a conversation with someone, maybe this has already come out by the time they hear this, about just being able to be as an artist versus
yeah.
having to create something to be produced. Like, the analogy in that particular interview was, why does everything have to be a tomato and corn and something that
Yes.
somebody create
Yes.
makes for a purpose instead of just being a beautiful flower? And I think
Yes.
what you are saying is that your artist's career up to that point, heck, from 8 years old,
Right.
you were doing it, but you were doing it for like somebody else's like,
Expectation.
expectation.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, so
Yes.
that must have been incredibly freeing to realize this is if you wanna release it, you can, if you don't, but it was in the ball was in your court
Yeah.
now.
It was freeing and terrifying at the same time
Mm,
because of the expectation. Because I thought, "Now wait a minute, everybody that does know who I am," not that I have a huge fan base, I don't mean that, but the fan base I have,
no,
they know
no, you feel
me.
responsible for them. No, for sure, it doesn't
Right,
matter how much the one person that
right.
bought your record is still you're still saying to them
There
like, "Oh
you
my
go.
gosh, what are they gonna think? What are they gonna think?"
Yes, and they knew me as the little old country girl that sings all the songs that they can sing along with, that they already know, and that wears these little dresses that looks just the same every time you see her and has the same little thing. Okay, I had let myself become I had put myself in that pigeonhole. You know what I mean? Like, I had
Okay.
kind of let myself get pigeonholed into that, but I didn't realize it until this time when I'm going, "What? There's so much more to me that no one is even aware of. I know it. I know it's there, but no one is aware, and what if they all turn on me and hate me? You know what I mean? So as freeing as it was, I was terrified at the same time. So there was a big internal struggle,
Yeah.
and the devil loves to play there. That's where he sits and wants to pull out and go, "Mhm, they're gonna hate you. Don't you do that." That's what he does. When God calls you to do something, what's the first thing you do? You doubt. You go, "Mm-mm, I can't do it. Nope, nope, I've got 15 excuses. Nope." And that was the thing. And so I was really there was a major struggle going on as I'm writing these songs. So this therapy was coming out in this music because the lessons that I was learning were
Wow.
coming out in these songs. And I didn't even realize that until later. And so in 2021, we decided, let's make a record. Okay. And so a lot of these songs that are on the album were just the demos. We just added a few things to them and just kind of like, whatever. But it's a pretty raw record. Like there's not a lot of super high tech production stuff.
That's what makes it. I'm sure without, again, we're contrasting these two
Yes.
seasons, right? It's like, oh gosh, I'm so sorry, Tia. I'm going to do this to you. I do this to everybody.
Please. Please.
It's like you're Moses in Pharaoh's house getting all the benefits. And then, and you're in
I'm
the,
studying that right now, FYI.
what?
So please bring that on up.
Oh my gosh. Look, that is,
On.
I mean, Moses needed everything he got in Pharaoh's. You needed it. But it wasn't until the Egyptians, I can't believe this. The Israelites pushed him out when he was in Pharaoh's house, because he's like, who are you, judge? But then when he comes back, he's like, I'm one of y'all. I've been out here on this desert for the last whatever years with Jethro.
Right.
And now when he comes back to lead, it's because he's coming back authentically the way that God has him, not as this kind of trumped up version. Okay, so I'll leave that there.
You are speaking life into, you just brought like a whole other, that's so good. That's so good. Thank you.
Oh gosh, no. So, exactly. We're pointing, everybody, I know it's not for those who are listening, we're pointing up, because that is okay. So now you said it. It's raw. It's authentic. It's not overproduced. And I wanted to draw the one other thing I was going to draw is, just like in the Opry, you weren't looking for that. You weren't looking for the prestige. You weren't looking for it. It was like, this is what it is. It sounds like you and him both. He had credits up to here. But he wasn't looking for that either. He didn't really need it.
No. This came down to fulfillment over fame.
Hashtag that. And
the Lord said that. The Lord said that to me yesterday.
Wow.
He gave me a vision of fulfillment and the greater than fame. That was exactly.
Please make sure you have that on a t-shirt so I can buy it from you.
I think I'm going to, because honestly, that's it. That's it. And yeah. So in 2021, we were like, okay, we're going to make a record. I'm like, how do I do that? And he's like, I don't know. I'm just to produce stuff. I don't know.
Somebody's like, what do we do? What? I don't know. What? Just music, this music industry thing. I'm new to this.
Yeah. That's the one thing. If I could go back and learn something that I didn't know, would be to learn the industry side.
I was going to ask that question, but
I didn't know anything about that. I had always relied on somebody else to make those calls and do that part, and I just sang the song, and that was fine.
And let me tell you, there's so many. I'm so grateful for this community of artists like you, because there have been Grammy winners, there have been Stellar winners, Dove winners. Every single one of them has said the same thing. They said, I wish I had paid more attention to this part, because they get so into just the grind of creating for other people. They're always saying the same thing. So you're not alone. You're not alone. And then if you're listening and watching this, you're not alone if you missed that. But now you've heard why you need to just don't let that become your mindset of I just do this to make the masses or my bosses or the producer happy. God has something specific for you. So I love this so much.
Yes. And don't let it become your excuse that you don't know. Because that's what I was like, well, I don't know what to do. And I have an incredible husband that I'm very, very thankful for. And he said, we'll figure it out. We will figure it out together. We'll figure it out. So you talk about online learning. That's what we did. We're like, how do you make a record? It's kind of what it became. But I started my own little independent label. I had to start my own publishing company because I knew nothing about publishing. I had no clue what that was about, what that world looked like. I didn't know anything about royalties or anything like that. Had no idea, because I had never received royalties, because I'd never written anything I'd sold before.
Yeah.
And in fact, I had never made any money off of any of the first 4 albums that I'd sold.
What? Oh gosh, please. Okay, I'm going to play this back for so many other artists that, oh gosh, this is going to save some people so much heartache. And I'm not. No, we're not. I already know what you're going to say. We're on the same page. I'm ahead of you. This is not bad mouthing anyone.
Make sure that you sign things make sure that there's paperwork that needs to be signed, even if you have to be the one to write it. Sign paperwork. That's all. That's my takeaway in things of that nature.
Uh,
Make sure. And if you don't know a lawyer, you find somebody that can read that stuff over for you. There are nice people that you can go to a lawyer's office and go, "Can you just glance at this for me and see if this looks crazy?" I mean, it's okay to do that, and I didn't. I'm a very trustworthy person. Now I'm more discerning about things of this nature. So,
be harmless as doves, wise as serpents. That's it.
yes, and again, I don't feel like I don't feel like I lost anything. I feel like I had a lot of great opportunities, and I was getting paid for shows and things like that. So it wasn't like I wasn't making any money, but I did not make anything off of record sales. So that was just a world that I didn't know anything about.
Yeah.
So I created this label, I created this publishing company, I created all the artwork for the album, did all of that graphic design, learned how to do that, learned how to make music videos, learned how to make lyric videos, learned how to navigate through Spotify and all of that kind of stuff and iTunes and all of that kind of stuff. So there was this whole like 3 months. The album came out in September of 2021, and this was probably we decided to make a record in like May.
Wow.
Talk about a crash
Hey,
course.
yeah, but look, let me, once again, this is just where my brain goes. Same thing as a call at 3:30 that you have to be on stage by 7:30.
Exactly.
God
You
didn't,
don't
it's
have time to
like, don't waste time. Just put your feet in the Jordan and go. I wanted to say this real quick because it popped in and it's so powerful that you just said it. I'm wondering what was what was God teaching you about yourself as you're doing this crash course? Because I'm just seeing this kind of butterfly effect that you're having where it's like you're coming out of this cocoon. I'm just
Mhm.
wondering, like, are you like realizing that is it at every moment that you say, "Oh my gosh, we're going to make a record"? Is it that God is kind of giving you that pat on the back? Is it that kind of, okay, God, I'm scared, but like, what was happening in terms of your faith journey right then? Because so many of us struggle right at that moment to say,
Yes.
"Okay, God, it seems like it's you. I think it's you. This,
Mhm.
but or is this just me like praying that it's you and going off a cliff?"
Yeah. You'll never walk on water till you step out of the boat. And if you don't take that first step, you're not going to know what the next step is. And if there is a next step, the thing is God doesn't tell you the whole plan because you'd try to do it tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? God doesn't
True.
give you the whole plan in advance because you'd go, "Oh, okay, I got this." And you'd go try to figure out how to get it done. No, he gives you the first thing. And if you question the first thing, step out. First of all, consult him, consult his word.
Right,
So
right.
it lines up. You know what I mean? Because there's certain things that you may have pop in your mind that you're like, "Oh, you know what? That doesn't really line up with what God says." So that's not good. So weigh it there first. And then if you feel like, "Okay, this is what I'm supposed to do," take that step. If there's a next step, it will be revealed. If there's not, it will not. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you just have to hold his hand. That's what trust is. That's what faith is. It's
Absolutely.
just taking that first step and don't get so far ahead of God. One of the songs that I wrote is called Enjoy the View. And
Just thank you.
okay.
I was bumping that last night.
Okay. But I wrote that because from the time I was 8 years old, okay, my goal was to get to Nashville. I'm gonna go to Nashville. That was it. I don't remember birthday parties. I don't remember school dances. I have very, very, very little memories of my years growing up because I was so thinking about the next thing
Yeah.
that I missed the thing happening right there. And that was maybe the biggest lesson I learned through all of this transition in 2020 was you better start paying attention to what's going on right now because you've probably missed out on a lot of little things, even little things that God needed me to do then that I missed out on because I was no, this. And I just that is something that if it that I've learned through performing these songs that I wrote, where they were therapy for me getting them out. People don't walk up to me after a show anymore and go, "You have a pretty voice." They walk up and go, "That song made me think about what I'm need to start doing, or that song I felt like was talking about a situation that I'm in right now. Again, it's fulfillment. That makes me feel like I helped somebody.
Yeah.
What I'm doing, you paid money for a ticket to see me perform, okay? You paid money for something. I wanna give you something more than just tickling your ears. I wanna give you something that you can walk away with and go, "That was worth my money," because I'm gonna go home and live a different way or do something different or tell somebody I love them or thank somebody for that, or forgive somebody, whatever. But and I didn't realize it when I was writing the songs that that was what it was going to become. But I have always said that if music didn't work out, I would be a therapist. I can do both.
Mm.
I can do both now. I
Yeah.
can do both now.
You already are both. Like I feel like that right there. I mean, there's so much. Look, let's not. Again, we could do this we could do a 3 hour podcast. Watch
I
out
know.
here, y'all get
I
ready
know.
for the Joe Rogan. But David and Saul,
Mm,
what was what was the point of the harp? David had an Saul had the evil spirit, and David comes and sings and plays, and what was tormenting Saul, and by the way, by his own admission, by his own fault. So even people that are bound up and buy that ticket to come see you, you're just offering them you're like, I love the way you said it. You're giving them more than what they paid for. That's the giving part. I think in the industry, like you said, where sometimes we get so, I got to make a living. I got
mhm,
to pay the band. Blah, blah, blah.
mhm.
But you always end up giving more than you take. And
Yes.
that whole giving and receiving thing that the Bible talks about is absolutely, and as an artist, like you are
Mhm.
always giving more than you take, like always. And I loved what you said about that therapy. That's something that money can't buy. Like they can't get that
No.
connection that they have with you just from any other source other than the music that you produce, because it came from, like you said, from another source.
Right, and I actually spoke to a group of teenage girls just a couple of days ago. There's a summer camp just outside of Nashville, and they had asked me to come and just play some songs and talk to them and whatever, and I'd never really done anything like that before, and I was like, "Okay, I'll figure it out." And when it was finished, one of the leaders came up and she said, "You told them things that I could tell them and they wouldn't hear it." But because the way you told them and the way you worded it or whatever, from your perspective, they heard that. And they wouldn't have heard it if I had said it to them, but they heard it differently. And I thought, that's what music can do, is
Mm,
it can take something that you might not just walk up to your friend and go, "Listen, you need to, try to work on this thing or whatever." But you can put that in a song. And when you hear that, that because we hear songs like that that make us go, "Oh,
100%.
I need to get right about that because that's something that I need to work on." You know what I mean? And I just feel like again, it goes back to that fulfillment over faith. Or
But fame,
yeah,
yeah.
over fame. I said faith. Fulfillment over fame. And I think when I don't know, when you're speaking, when you're singing and talking to people, and you're not bringing it to them going, "I'm gonna preach at you."
Right.
This
No,
song
because yeah,
is telling my story.
it's not top down. It's not, I'm the guru and you're going to listen and follow.
No,
No, we're all in the
no.
same journey,
Yeah,
and the
I'm
song
still
puts us on the
learning
same
these
page.
lessons. These things that I'm
Absolutely.
singing about, I'm still having to every day pick up my cross and go, "Okay, you got to get that." It's
Oh
not just
Lord.
doesn't just happen. It's like I'm still learning. Yeah, it's just been a pretty amazing run. And then in the midst of all of this, last July, yeah, so it's been almost a year ago. Strange. Had been playing some writers rounds with Moose, and luckily Moose, of course, plays guitar. So when I do writers rounds, I he was always there to play with me. But I had kind of wanted to do some things on my own, and again, having to rely on someone else. That's something else that I really want to tell people. You don't, you can rely on people and have help in your life and have other people, but you
Right.
do need to know that you can't fully rely on everybody else. You know what I mean? Because it can get difficult. And that was always hard for me when I was performing because I always had to call somebody to play guitar for me or call somebody to come and play piano for me or whatever. And Brandon and I were walking through the mall in Franklin, Tennessee, last July. We walked past this little, like a gift shop, like a, souvenir Nashville gift shop, right? And they have these ukuleles in the window. And Brandon goes, you should get a ukulele because you have tiny hands, which has always been my excuse as to why I can't play an instrument because I do have really tiny hands. I do.
Okay. So he wasn't just taking a shot at you. I'm like,
No,
come
no,
on.
he wasn't. But he goes, you could probably play a ukulele. And I'm like, why would I want to play a ukulele? Like, that's dumb. And we went in there and I like picked it up and I was like, that's dumb. And I hung it up. We walked out. I could not stop thinking about that ukulele. And the next day I ordered a ukulele, just a little cheap ukulele. And I thought, if that thing comes and if I can learn one song on it, like, okay. So it comes in the mail. I sit down with the YouTube, the teacher of all things.
YouTube University, yep.
Yeah. And I said, okay. So I pull up I think it was Dreams by Fleetwood Mac.
Yeah. Oh gosh.
Okay. I'm gonna see if I can learn this. And like within a couple hours, I was like, look at me playing a song. Look at me playing a song, I was like, okay, that's weird. Whatever. And so I kept messing with it a little bit here and there. And then I started trying to figure out my own songs. Now, I didn't know, and I still don't. Okay. Just know this. If you say play me a G, I don't know how to do that. I don't know what that is. Okay.
Wait, I'm not.
Okay.
From
Don't
us,
judge. Don't,
the
you can't
music,
judge.
the music theory nerds of me that grew up with every single scale known to man in our heads,
Yeah.
wish we could get some of that stuff out of our heads.
Yeah.
Because
This is
yes.
not me. This is not. I'm like, okay. But I know where to put the capo and how to move my hands to make the notes go.
You know what you need to know.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. I know what I know, and that's all I need to know. I'm like, it's good. Okay. It ain't for everybody, but it ain't for everybody. It's for me. So I'm like, okay. So I start doing that and I start messing around. I'm like, I get a email from a woman who I've yet to ever meet in my life. Her name is Shirley. That's literally all I know about the lady. And she said, I have another artist and he's doing a writer's round in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, which is about 3 hours from here. Okay. And she said, he's doing a writer's round and we were wondering if you would want to be a part of it. And I thought, well, I can't afford to pay somebody to come with me to Pigeon Forge for a couple of nights to play 2 nights there. And I can play 3 or 4 of my own songs on my ukulele. And I thought, I don't know anybody in Pigeon Forge. I can get up there and make a total fool of myself. And I don't know these artists that have asked me to come along and play. And I thought, I'm going to do that. Okay. So I tell this lady, yeah, I'll do it. And like, I think we made like $8 in tips that night. Like it was not like there was, you know what I'm saying? Like this was not some big life-changing gig, but it was like, this was the start of me starting totally over and in a totally new place. So I take my ukulele, I go to Pigeon Forge, and I was like, okay, it wasn't perfect, but I made it through. And I played my uke and I did these 2 rounds. And these guys were so nice. I'd never met them, still never met Shirley. And I came home and well, that night the sound man came up and he said, I have a friend who has a small Taylor guitar and she just has it with 4 strings on it, but she plays it like a ukulele. And I go, huh, okay. So the next day I go over to the Guitar Center and I buy me a Taylor Mini and it still has 4 strings on it because that's what I know and that's how I can play it and that's what I can do. But now I can go out on my own. I can go to the summer camp and play for the girls and sing the songs I need to do. I played Puckett's in Franklin last weekend by myself with my own thing. I played at the Johnny Cash, his old farmhouse that they have renovated and made into a songwriter store. It's called Storytellers. It's so cool. I played there last weekend by myself, but I'm doing it I did it. Like God put that in me and gave me the ability to figure out a way to do it to where I felt comfortable doing it and I can get through it. And I'm not Chet Atkins or, I'm not like some fabulous guitar player, but I can strum and I got rhythm because I was a drummer. So I'm like, I can do it. I can do it. You know what I mean? So like now my whole world has just opened into all these opportunities that I would have never had. And they mean so much more to me than anything I've ever done before.
Oh gosh, this is too good. I am so thankful that you decided to hang out with me at the Betsy in those couple of minutes, because I never would have known the depth of how your story and how you follow your faith or that fulfillment over fame, that part, which is so gratifying to people who like me, who sometimes start to chase the fame. We sometimes get, and then it's like, no, wait, I'm on the right track. I'm on the right track. I'm on the right track. This is how God wired me so I could pick up a ukulele and just say, you know what? I'm going to try it. I want to ask this one question because I know we got to go, but I'm loving this so much. And I'm asking you, I ask this usually at the end of the interviews, and everybody like says, oh gosh, I really don't want to do this,
Oh,
but I'm
yeah.
going to make you do
Okay.
it.
Okay.
Let's take you back to that 8-year-old.
Mhm.
And she's writing out pictures of singing at the Opry, and she's getting ready to do these gigs and stuff like that. What would you tell her now? Now that you know all that you know, what would you tell that little 8-year-old that, you know, I'll just leave that there. What
Yeah.
would you say to her?
I would say always be yourself. God made you exactly how you are. There's nobody else like you in the whole world. Be who he made you to be. Don't stray. Don't don't try to figure it out on your own. And I'm and just let him guide you, because where you're going to end up is you're going to be so happy there. And
Mm,
it's not going to be about singing at the Grand Old Opry. It's not even about that anymore. Like that's, you're going to get to do the things, but that's not even the good part. That's not, again, I think it's so weird that that whole fulfillment over fame thing, like that just that I think that's what I would say. Like you are gonna find joy beyond the happiness that you get when you're on stage. There's a joy that goes beyond that, because the stage, there are bad nights. There are times when you don't want to sing. There are times when you don't feel like performing. But the joy of doing what God wants you to do, what he needs you to do, that doesn't go away. That's deep within, and that the peace and the fulfillment and the just I don't know. Nothing can top that. And if there's anybody out there that's listening that is feeling a struggle about that, man, just keep listening to God. He is not going to steer you wrong. He's going to point you exactly where he needs you to go to do the things he needs you to do. If we look at it like that, if we take ourselves out of the equation, instead of what do I want, instead of what do you need me to do, that's it. I mean, that's where it's at. If you really want to know, that's where it's at. Because when you go to that part, your cup's going to be full. You don't have
mm,
to worry about that. You know what I mean? When you're
absolutely.
when you're taking care of other people, your cup will be full,
Yes.
because that's what we're called to do. We're here to spread a message. We're here to be Jesus on this earth. And I'm like, let's do that. Let's be Jesus and show people that through what we do. He gave us these talents. He gave us these things, you
Let's
know.
let's be a light on the hill. Gosh, it's so beautiful. And somebody just heard that. I know somebody was just blessed by that. Someone is blessed by all of this. So much light and love is coming out of this podcast. We can't bottle it up. But for those who want more of what you have just shared, who want more of the light that you share, all the stories and everything that's coming out of your music. And by the way, I'm gonna, and this is how creativity works. I don't want you to gloss over this. I want 0.000001 part of the credits when you write a song called The Good Part, because I caught that and I'm like, that's a lyric right there. What you said about go listen to this again and tell me there's no song
Okay.
somewhere.
Okay.
I love that. As soon as I heard that, I'm like, oh my gosh, all right. And I'm ready to play. If you need tracks, let me know. I got you. I
I'm here
got
for
you.
that. I am
I
here for that.
got you.
We need to collaborate.
You
We
need
need
to
to.
really make that happen. But for those who want to find more about you, get the album, who want to listen to more of what you have to share, tell them how to find you. If they're not
You
old,
can
if they're old school, they're writing it down, they should just tap the links.
right here, watch this. Watch me be you want to see me be real fancy?
Come on with the QR. All right, y'all scan it
Y'all
right
can
there.
just
Pick
QR that. You just scan that. That'll
do it.
take you to every which way you can find me. That'll take you to all the socials. That'll take you to all the Spotify's and the iTunes and the website and the things. Okay. this is something I would highly recommend y'all. I invented this, I think. I've never seen anybody else do this. Taking full credit, but you can get on the, I think it's like Vistaprint or whatever.
Yes.
This is the front. This is the front of my album. Smart. And this is the QR. So when people come up and go, I don't have a CD player in my car, you can go, here you go.
Yep.
Find me.
Right now. Exactly.
Right? But yeah, teagoans.com. That's got all the links to everything. I'm on YouTube. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. I would, if you find me on Instagram, DM me. Like, I would love to stay in touch with you guys because I love this podcast. In fact, I listened. I think it was a couple weeks ago when you were talking about the pod match, and that's
guesting. I saw you.
See? That was because of you. See how it all goes around.
Wow. Look, this is how God, he adds and multiplies because we are sharing in each other's struggles and helping each other. Wow, that's so amazing. This is why we are fast friends.
Yes.
This is why, even though I can't get over there to go chill out on the porch with you, but whenever you're back in Florida, you have a place and a home right here where we can continue to grow together. I love this so much. My sister, thank you so much for being a part of this show, of the podcast. And this won't be the last time, I guarantee you.
No, absolutely not.